Hello, and thank you for tuning in to episode 0 of the Modern Day Muse podcast. My name is Maria DeSalvo, and I'm going to be your host along this journey. The Modern Day Muse podcast is just an aspect of this storytelling community that I am creating, and today I'm going to give you a brief introduction of how I got started. I first came up with this idea probably back in my senior year of college, although I didn't know that it would turn into anything like this at that time. When I was working on my final project, I interviewed people in my life who I really admired, and they told me about their stories, and then I wrote about them. And during that time, I had multiple recordings on my phone just from people that I had talked to. A few months ago, I was sitting at brunch with some of my friends, and we were talking about what we really wanted to do if we were actually doing what we wanted to do. And I told them I wanted to do something that resembled Humans of New York. I wanted to interview people about their lives, and I wanted to share their stories. And when I was driving back from that brunch, I decided to listen to one of the recordings that I had from 3 years prior. And one of my interviewees asked me, what did I want to do with this? And I said, I want to do something that resembles Humans of New York. And that was 3 years before. And I still hadn't done anything. And I loved what I was doing that senior year. I remember sitting with my roommates and just saying, I love this. This is so much fun. Like, this is what I want to do as a career. And I didn't follow that voice at all. After graduation, I nannied for a really long time. And I worked at a yoga studio, and I worked for a startup, and I worked for a marketing office, and I catered for a while, and I shopped for other people's groceries. You name it, I've probably done it. And then I got my first 9-to-5 job, which I resisted for so long. I just hated the idea of sitting in a room with somebody, handing them my resume, and trying to prove myself to them. Although what I loved about this job that I did get was that my boss said she never even looked at my resume, which was really nice. But I started that job, and I went into it thinking that it was going to be an experience where somebody would take me under their wing, and they would guide me, and they would see something in me that I didn't see in myself, and I would find my passion and be really successful. And that's not what happened at all. About 6 months in, I started to realize how unhappy I really was, and how unhappy a lot of people at that company really were. And I didn't feel good about myself going to that job. I would stand in the bathroom and just be like, what am I doing here? And I think when you're doing that at least once a week, there's an issue, and you probably should not be there. So I started looking for mentors anywhere I could. I made friends in other departments. I was reading Brene Brown and Esther Perel, and I started just reaching out to people on Instagram, and just people who had brands that I admired. And there was this one woman who had a wine business with her husband, and I just reached out to her and asked if I could interview her. And I had no idea what my intention was behind that interview. I just wanted to hear about how she got to be where she was. And the more I kept telling people about what I wanted to do, the more people kept saying, oh, you should do a podcast. You should do a podcast. And I thought, well, I'm going to record the interviews for transcription purposes anyway, so I guess why not? Like, really, why not? I don't have anything to lose. So here I am. That's what I'm doing. And through that process, I came across a quote from Brene Brown, and she says, you either walk inside your story and own it, or you stand outside your story and you hustle for your worthiness. And when I was at that corporate job, I really felt like I was hustling for my worthiness. And ultimately, I actually realized that I was looking for somebody to define my worth, which is not fun. And I want this community to serve as a really intimate community where you feel like you can just come, take off your shoes, throw on your sweatpants, sit down, and listen to the story of somebody in really realize what is beneath the surface, because we're so used to just seeing what people want to show you. So I really hope this serves as a place where we can listen to other people's stories and be inspired to walk inside your story and own it. There's also going to be a lot of other aspects of the interviews that you can see on my website. That's moderndayMuse.com, mdrn daymuse.com. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you guys enjoy.